tractor and a trusty old mule. I keep this place running, trying to play it cool. I'm maintaining my half-ass homestead where the bluegrass grows. Working the land with my hands, that's how it goes. Though it ain't fancy, it's the life for me. Living off the land, happy and free.
All right, guys, how we doing? All right, so tonight's gonna be kind of a weird one. I'm back in my upstairs office. I didn't want to be. I actually had some pretty good intentions of moving into the print shop and doing a video in there, but that did not work out to my benefit. Unfortunately, it actually worked out to be not good at all. Let me just see if I can bring this post up here. Copy and paste. Send it out there. Go to the star. Put it on top. All right. So my intention was to go into my print shop area and set it up so that I could do it using my lapel mic, which I don't normally use much at all. And I've got a camera in there. Hi, Charlene. How are we doing? I have a camera in there that if I start that camera up, I can just hold my hand up like this, and from after that point, it'll follow me around the room. I don't know what the total degrees of it are or whatever. Hey, Paul Honeyman, how we doing, brother? And that was my intention. I wanted to do that video, but I ran into technical difficulties trying to set that up. One is that the be careful of that. One of them was that the camera needs to plug into a laptop. And then I also need to have other things plugged into that laptop. And so you can only plug so many things into, the new laptops. They don't have much. I don't even know if that one has an audio input. It's brand new to me. It's called Just Think. I'm thinking that Just Think doesn't allow me to do that. But I do have other computers in that room that I can do it from. I've done it before. And so it's like running into these tough technical difficulties. Said, okay, well, now you got an issue. What can you plug into it? How much can you plug into it? All that. So one of the things that led me to is it has 2 USB ports. Well, the mouse is plugged into one, and the camera plugs into one. And then you don't have any more left. It's just a 2 USB port computer. So I went out and I bought a 4 USB bus. It's pretty cool. And I went out and I bought a 2 terabyte USB hard drive. The pair of these together was like $60. But my problem is I don't know if I can do the actual audio with a plug-in on it. I haven't really paid that much attention to the computer yet because it's pretty brand new. But my intention was to go into the print shop and do that. That way I could talk to you. I could walk around. The camera could follow me. It would be really kind of a cool video to put together as a live or whatnot. And then still be able to sit down, read comments and whatnot. And that was my intention. But technical difficulty says, yeah, that's not probably going to work on that computer. So I'll probably have to do it with a different computer. Not that that's a big issue. I have 2 other computers in that same, actually I have 3 computers in that same room. I have a laptop that's set up to run my CNC machine that's not set up. And I use that for my vinyl plotter. Because a CNC machine and a vinyl plotter pretty much run hand in hand. Everything you can do with one, you can do with the other. They use the same methods basically. A plotter says, okay, drop the knife down, cut the vinyl, and it goes forward and backward with the vinyl, so it cuts things out. CNC machine's basically the same way, except for instead of the material going back and forth, it actually, the material stand to be not moving, and then it allows everything else to move back and forth. And I wanted to do that. I really did. And I'm sorry I can't. Another thing that I've been asked for is for me to be able to do videos of my seed house. You know, that's a big part of my life. And what gives me money to be able to do what I do is to be able to keep the seed house going. And people have asked, well, can you do videos of the seed house? Well, I want to do videos of the seed house. I did go out and I bought an XO drone, and I want to kind of like start up high and fly down to the seed house and then take it and edit it. So that would be the stop point. And then I'd walk in with a camera. But the problem with walking in with a camera is you got all this jittery crap going on all the time. So I went out and I bought this really nice, I don't know how to use it yet. This is called a gimbal. Back here you got a trigger. I have no idea what that does. Not yet anyway. And then on the other side, you got these buttons and everything else over here that you can make all kinds of changes with and stuff. And I want to have that working too at the same time, so that, you know, right behind me, that's my GoPro right there on the stand. I want to be able to go in with the GoPro and be able to do that. But then I also want to go back in with this other camera that will follow me around and let me use the lapel mic to talk about what we're doing and have it follow me around inside the seed house. So it'd be a lot of editing and stuff like that, but I think it would be really cool to put out. And I've been asked for it. So, you know, that's one of the things that I'm looking forward to. It's just, you know, you buy it and then you got to learn it. And I don't care what it is. Even that camera that'll follow me around in the room, I had to study it. You know, it's a lot like everything else I own. There's a lot of stuff that I own that if you don't know what you're doing, you're not going to do it. You know, you have to learn it. And learning things to me is, I like learning things. I really do. I mean, I've been out of school since 1982, out of high school. I did a lot of vocational schools / college classes or whatnot to learn more stuff. And I use YouTube. YouTube is a great place to learn things. And a lot of it has to do with, you know, what can you do with your editing program? What can you do with your video? How do you make it better? You know, I study all this stuff all the time. And it's great. I love it. You know, I'm not a guy that doesn't want to quit learning by any means. I watch videos of people building stuff. A really good example was Mama V's. Come on, guys. We're all friends with Mama V. Watching them put that roof on Mama V's house blew me away. I've never seen a roof made that way, but I really like the way it turned out. I myself was not questioning the reason for the tongue and groove. I understood that. But what I don't understand on that is the lack of insulation. You know, in her floor, she has the bubble foil wrap going across, and then she has plywood on top. I don't know as though that bubble packaging wrap, that's what I call it, packaging material, I don't know if that's enough to be able to keep the cold air from coming up through your floor. And she used the same stuff on her roof. And I'm like, boy, if it was me, I'd have to have better insulation than that. Because, you know, heat rises. You don't want to let it all out the roof. And so I was kind of leaning towards all that stuff too, going, okay, what would be a different way to do it? Well, one of the things that I've learned in life is that extra high R values in your roof are nice. It holds the heat in, but it also is one of those things that it changes the design. It changes the way things work. For instance, on her roof. If she were to do that on her roof and say she went in and used like 2-inch rigid board insulation, then you would always see that 2-inch rigid board insulation unless you came up with a better way to wrap the edges of it to cover that up. And they aren't They aren't made that way. It's made to be insulated on the inside, not the outside. So for me, it's like, okay, I want to toss up. Now again, for me, from the underside, I probably would have used a 2-inch rigid board and just cut it really tight. So you have to kind of beat it into the between the floor joists. And then for me, I would have left. Hey, Lynn, how we doing? I would have left a little bit of an air gap between the rigid board insulation and the actual floor, because air gaps are insulation as well. And I think that's an important factor. On the roof, though, I don't know how you could do it. Yeah, it's on top of the tongue and groove, and then it was, hey, how you doing, Josh? It was on top of the tongue and groove, but then it was also covered with tar paper, and that does give you the air gap, but I don't know what the quality of the insulation would actually be on that. As far as I'm concerned, my ideal thing, of course, I live in New York, so I have totally different weather than what they have in Arkansas right now. Right now, that's not going to always be the case, believe me. That is not always going to be the case. I got people looking at land for me every day in Arkansas. But yeah, to me, like when we did the seed house up here in New York, we used the rigid board insulation for the ceiling. And then we used rolled insulation in other parts of the ceiling, so we could get really good R value out of it. Rigid board is not as good as fiberglass insulation, but it's good. And then the walls, we used rock wool. Excuse me. We use rock wool, which is like a sound barrier, fire barrier. Rock wool is awesome. You can put a torch to that stuff; it won't burn. And I got a really good deal on it. I bought it all at auction, so I do that a lot. And that's one of my things of playing around. Like my house right here, this is a 1900 farmhouse. I've got 8 inches of blown-in insulation up in the ceiling, which is part of another talk here in a little bit. That insulation value, because it's blown in, it leaves a lot of air pockets, and it adds to the R value by leaving those air pockets available. And that's, to me, probably one of the better installations in a ceiling. Now, in a wall, it's probably one of the worst, and my walls are done that way. In a wall, because it's not attached to anything, after a time, you lose your R value and you lose your insulation value, because the stuff will settle down into the wall, and then it leaves the air gap up top. And now you got an inside wall, an outside wall, and the top of the wall is as cold as the outside of the building. So for that part, I say, yeah, no, fiberglass insulation that's faced, so you can staple it in place. It'll always be in place. To me, that's the better answer for that, unless you do rock wool. I like rock wool, believe me. Rock wool is awesome. Yeah, it is. Well, nothing we do anymore, Paul, is cheap. I can say that. And doing the tongue and groove, I fully understand why she went that route, because the interior aesthetic of that is awesome. I think she probably got that idea from watching Country Road Cure when they did their inside ceilings. And that was one of those things when they did that ceiling, they were fighting. I mean, they were fighting hard. And I sent Anthony an email and said, Anthony, if you go buy an Irwin clamp or a DeWalt clamp, most of them you can push a button, take one end off, move it to the other side, reverse it, and put it back on. So instead of being a clamp that you clamp wood together, you use a clamp to pull wood apart. And that's what he ended up doing. Of course, he took credit for it, which is all right by me. I'm not the kind of guy that's too proud to let somebody else take credit for they thought they came up with the idea. That's fine. I have no issue with that. But for me, that was like a no-brainer. And the same thing with Mama V's, yeah, you gotta get up there. You gotta have a block of wood that's got the tongue got the tongue in it. So you put it into the groove and you beat it down with rubber mallet or whatever. You kick it down to your feet, do whatever you got to do, and it works. I mean, I've worked with that stuff a lot, so that's how I know about how to do it with the clamps and stuff. And actually, I prefer the clamp because kicking it down only works as long as you got enough people there to hold the feet on it and put pressure on it. Because once you kick it in, if you let go of it, it's going to pop back out again. So for that, I'm like, yeah, I understand the aesthetic value of it and all that, but I don't understand the installation value of it. Like I say, I'm in New York. Here in New York, if you use just bubble wrap and tar paper and put metal roof on top of it, you're going to have a cold roof and you're going to lose a lot of heat. But then again, we need heat. I mean, you know, where I'm at, our winter time starts somewhere right around normally 1st of November, and it lasts all the way through to almost the 1st of April. So we've got a good 5 months of being really cold. And if you can't hold your heat in, then you end up losing that value and you end up spending more on your heat. Now, this house that I'm in right now is heated with propane is the number one source, but it also has 3 electric heaters. There's one in the room I'm in right now underneath my desk because I was always cold. I used to have it over here on the other side, and I was always cold because heat rises, so it don't never drop below the desk. So now I've got it under the desk, so it has to roll around the desk and go up. So I'm always warm, even if the rest of the room is cold. I don't care. But I also have an attic door over here on the other side that is not insulated. Yeah, Paul, I know. I've been to Canada a lot. Actually, in my younger years, I was in Canada almost every weekend at a place called North Beaver Lodge. Or no, I'm sorry. Cedar Lake Lodge on North Beaver Lake. I kind of grew up in that campground. My parents were friends with the Moore family. It was Dudley and Donna Moore that owned it. And we were there almost every weekend. And so, yeah, I've been to Canada a lot. We actually were up there when they had a major prison break. And I'll tell you, that one wasn't fun. We were in a camper. How do you secure a camper? It was terrible. But yeah, so my thing is that, you know, you gotta consider what you're using for heat source. And I mean, if you got a wood stove, chances are it's not going to matter because a wood stove puts out so much heat that it's hard to regulate. Most of the people I know, most of the people that I know that have a wood heater in their like small house or whatever, end up having to open windows and let some of that out. Yeah, Paul, back in them younger days, absolutely every day. The funny part about that lake, and actually the Canada as well, is that the lake was kind of surrounded by doctors and lawyers and stuff on the other side, and they couldn't get Pringles potato chips, but we could down here in New York. And just crossed the border. Now we got our Pringles potato chips over there too. But word got out that we had Pringles potato chips. And all these doctors and lawyers kids would always come over to our campground, to our campsite, wanting to know, hey, can I get you to bring me a can of Pringles? Can I get you? That actually started a pretty good little venture. Going into Canada, when they ask you, do you have anything to declare, they're asking about whiskey and cigarettes and stuff. They weren't asking about Pringles potato chips or anything like that. Now they do. Apparently, taking a potato to Canada is a really bad idea. But Pringles weren't really made out of real potatoes anyway. It was made out of like potato flakes that were reinstituted or whatever. I don't know how they make them things. And it was one of them that were, these guys couldn't buy them and we had them. And so we were constantly, you know, buy a case of Pringles, take it over there and charge them a pretty good $1 for each can. And it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun growing up that way. But anyway, back to the camera situation. Like I say, I don't know if it'll even plug into that new Just Think laptop. That thing's got awesome video on it, but right now, or no, I'm sorry, it's got awesome audio on it. It doesn't have video. This camera I'm using right now, I have to take down and plug into that, which brought me to having to get the USB hub because I need to have another USB hub and whatnot. But yeah, so I'm working on doing different things like that, getting the videos out. It's been a long time since I put a video out. I want to get back into it. I've actually talked to all my employees about setting up different GoPros in different areas of the seed house, just recording how it works when they're out there working, what they're doing, putting orders together or doing the shipping or just packaging seed or whatever. And it'll be a series of GoPros. I've got 3 of them now, so it'll be a series of those, and then plus I've got other cameras, as you probably got from the last video. I got a whole shelf of cameras that were on the back side of the wall. And my only thing is, I go by what their wish is, and their wish is we don't want any audio. And I was like, why? What are you worried about with the audio? And they said, well, the thing with the audio is we never know what we're going to be talking about. And we don't think it would be a good idea to record us because we might be saying something that would be detrimental to your video. And I agree with them. I've listened to them talk, I can't not help it. So yeah, it's something I'm working on. I will get it out. I don't know when. I will get it out. I promise that. And again, like I said, I want to use the XO drone and start up high and kind of fly it down into the front of the seed house, maybe almost all the way to the door, and then shut that down and then go in with this gimbal and do a walkthrough, and then take it from there into the other cameras already set up in that room that are recording what's going on in that room, things like that. I mean, we got 300 seed varieties. It's a lot. It's a lot. Anyway, so yeah, that's all stuff that I'm working on. But I think it's no bats or camos, Paul. Actually, I was just thinking about that tonight when I started doing this one. I thought about trying that lapel microphone out with the camera because this computer that I'm on right now does have the audio input. And then I got thinking about it and said, well, wait a minute. I remember the Dog Man and Jeff from Bobblehead getting together and doing a video together. And Jeff had to keep the conversation going while Mike went into the bathroom. Mike forgot to shut off the microphone when he went into the bathroom, so everybody got to listen to him tinkle. And I remembered that today, and I was like, yeah, that was a funny video. I enjoyed that video a lot. I did. But yeah, it's just one of those things. I try not to get up and go to the bathroom when I'm doing videos. You know what I'm saying? I guess if you got somebody else there to keep somebody occupied, you can do that and get away with it. I'm not that kind of a person. Yeah, it was a funny video. Hi, Lori, how we doing? It was that kind of a video. So that's kind of what I'm working on now. I got to learn how to use this gimbal. I got to figure out how I'm gonna make that camera follow me around in the room, and I got to do a bunch of other stuff in order to make it work. So I will probably my next live have it set up so that I'm not sitting right here in front of the computer. I'm actually walking around the room and trying to do a live that way. That way you can kind of see part of my print shop. Speaking of my print shop, that was one thing that I got a personal request from. I had a guy that was one of my coworkers back when I was working for a baking soda factory who had moved to Tennessee 4 years ago. And he just moved back to New York, and he stopped in to visit with me. I think it was like probably the first week he was back in New York, he stopped in. And he says, oh, you got a print shop? Cool. I got a request. And I was like, what's that? And he says, I need a Beware Dog sign. I was like, all right, why don't you just go to the store and buy one? He says, no, you own a print shop. I want you to print. I says, all right, what kind of dog you got? And he says, a female German Shepherd. And I was like, all right. And the purpose of the Beware Dog sign is? And he says, she is ferocious. And I was like, all right, I want a picture of your dog. So he sent me a picture of the dog, and I ran it through Image R and removed the background behind the dog. And then I took that picture, downloaded it from Image R, and I put it into my actual programs that I use for doing sublimation printing and whatnot. And I'll show you, this thing turned out awesome, I think. Because it's a female dog, I wanted to have kind of a pink part into it. Check this out. That's his actual dog sitting in the yard. Not chained up. It was just sitting in the yard. He took the picture. I put it on ImageR, and I said, well, remove the background. And it took the whole background out of it and gave me just the dog. And I was like, that's pretty. And because it's female, I was like, well, let's not make it like a beet red beware a dog sign. Let's kind of lean it a little bit more towards the pink side because it is a girl. And I think that turned out awesome. I haven't sent him any pictures of it or anything. I told him it was done yet. I just finished it today. But yeah, I was pretty impressed with that. It took a lot of tries to make it right because, you know, that's a 12 by 12 sign. I thought there were 15 by 15 signs. The first one I printed out for was a 13 by 19 sign because I wasn't paying attention to what I was doing. The second one was a 15 by 15 sign because I didn't measure the sign. I just assumed, which, you know, I made an ass out of you and me both on. And then when I found out it was 12 by 12, I went to print it again, and I had to go through and clean the print heads out. Hey, Peter, how we doing, brother? I had to go back through and clean the print head out. So I was there for quite a while just trying to get one good sign. And I wasted a lot of paper. I wasted quite a bit of ink. I had to do maintenance on the printer in the middle of it. And I'm like, well, you know, it's just part of the game, you know. Even though that printer has been used and used and used, the print head's plugged up on them time and time again. So you just have to, okay, did that one turn out proper? Yeah, okay, good. Did that one turn out proper? No, okay. Get rid of it. Do it again, you know. Almost every print that comes off that printer, the first thing we have to do is, you know, I could say I'm doing like t-shirts. That's like an 8.5 by 11 sheet. When that paper goes through that printer, any ink that didn't end up on that paper ends up on the front roller, and it'll leave ink spots. So we have to go in and we have to trim a very little bit of an edge off every side of the paper to make sure that that didn't happen. Yeah. Oh, I don't think I talked about this one yet either. We're getting ready for March Madness, guys. Check this out. ESPN Tri-County Radio reached out to me out of Tennessee, and they said, hey, we're getting ready to do a radio campaign for March Madness. You want in on it? And I was like, I don't know. What are you talking about? And they told me what they were going to say on the commercial. What I got at the end wasn't what they told me they were going to say, but that's okay. And they put me in the slot because they are a civic support type company, I guess. Is that we're getting the one for salute to the troops campaign. And I'm like, all right, I'm good with that. You know, I'm a veteran. I won't do anything that doesn't support veterans. And it wasn't that expensive. And it puts my name out there. And Tri-Counties of Tennessee, in case you don't know, also covers a lot of Arkansas area for the radio stations. I don't know what the name of this or what the actual stations are. It's WTLA. So I don't know what all that stands for. Western Tennessee, I guess. I don't know. But a lot of those stations do flow over into Arkansas and stuff. So I was like, yeah, I'll do that. It was like $400. I don't care. I do stuff like that all the time. But it gets the print shop name out there, and that's what I'm trying to do now is really get the print shop name out there. I didn't grab it. Hold on. I will be right back. I forgot to grab one of my bags. Sorry about that. I was supposed to already have this out here too, and I forgot to grab one. But there's a company called Sticker Mule. Everybody keeps asking me, do you print stickers? Do you print stickers? No, I don't. If I want stickers, I go to Sticker Mule. Sticker Mule is a really good company. All of our packaging products for the seed house are printed from Sticker Mule, and it's all done custom. And when we order for that, we're talking one UPS truck full was the last delivery we got. And we had 2 UPS trucks pull up because our regular UPS guy couldn't put them into his truck because he already had his load going out for the day. But he was nice enough to stop in and help the other guy unload his truck. And it took 5 of us to unload that, or 5 of us, I'm talking my side, to unload that truck, find a place to put everything, and 2 of them to unload the truck to hand them off to me to pass into the seed house. And they reached out to me and said, "Hey, we made your T-shirt bags for your original print shop, but you changed your name. You want to do more?" And they're like, "Yeah, actually, I do." And they said, "All right, well, we're running a special. It wasn't a big special, but we're running a special. We give you 10% off if you order this many." And I said, "All right." And they said, "Well, what do you want for design? You want the same one?" And I was like, "No, I don't. I don't want the same design at all." And actually, anybody looking for stickers, right now, they have a special going on where you can get 50 stickers for $29 and free delivery. That's pretty special. They're 3-inch by 3-inch stickers, and I think it's done on holographic, but I'm not real positive on that part. That's what I ordered, was a holographic, because I thought it looked cool. But this is what they did for me. I have that on the top of the bag. And then I had them add that to the bottom of the bag. So now all my T-shirts being shipped out will come with all that on it. I thought that was pretty cool. And, I like stuff like that. Yeah, Lynn, I don't watch basketball. I know Mike does over there at Drifting Dreamers. He was just talking about it in his video today while he's sick and home alone with Talon. And he likes his basketball, and that's fine. I mean, to each his own. If I watch sports, most of the time, it used to be NASCAR. I was really big into NASCAR for a while. Growing up the way I did, my dad was a boxer back in his younger days. He was actually a featherweight champion of New York State for a while. So I grew up watching boxing a lot because my dad watched all of them. Of course, we're talking Mike Tyson days. But my dad was big into that kind of stuff, so I watched all that kind of stuff. And football, I'm not a big fan. I do like Mondays. I'll pull up the Sunday football highlights, or you only got like 10-15 minutes per game. And I'll watch those for the teams that I am interested in, like there's quite a few of them actually. And I'll watch those 10-15 minute replays of all the best plays in that game or whatever and see who won. But, as far as like the Super Bowl, I had the Super Bowl on. I got this big TV behind me. I had the Super Bowl on that, and I had the volume shut off. I didn't want to hear what the commentators were saying. And because I'm right here at the computer and, it reflects off this screen, if there's something good going on, I'll just turn around, I'll watch it for a little bit, and then I'll turn back again. And yeah, well, Paul, actually, your idea of football is what we call soccer. Hey, Bill, how are you doing? Your idea of football is what we call soccer. So I guess our football would be rugby. With a smaller ball. I actually have something printed out beside me, not too far away from me anyway. That actually I read it and it kind of made me laugh. Let me see. Let me reach over and grab that. Hi, Wanda Henry. How we doing? This one made me laugh. It's called Interesting Observation. Number 1, the sport of choice for urban poor is basketball. The sport of choice for maintenance level employees is bowling. The sport of choice for frontline workers is football. Number 4, the sport of choice for supervisors is baseball. I was a supervisor for years. I don't like baseball. Number 5, the sport of choice for middle management is tennis. Number 6, the sport of choice for corporate executives and officers is golf. The amazing facts are, the higher you go in the corporate structure, the smaller your balls become. There must be a boatload of people in Washington playing with marbles. I have to agree 100% with everything that piece of paper said. I seriously do. When that was put off to me, I was like, yeah, this is really funny. This is really funny. And it's probably true, you know. It's probably true. I'm not supposed to talk politics on here, but I will say this, and this is just between all of us. New York State, the way they went after Donald Trump was totally wrong. Totally wrong. Because in order to have anything that you can claim a monetary payment for, you have to have a victim and they have to have a loss. And in Trump's case, there were neither. So when they went after him for that stuff, I was very upset with it. That's not the way the law works. And I'm more worried about it because if they can do that to him, they can do that to anybody. And I'm sorry, you know, I own a business that's worth almost $1 million. If they can come in and say, okay, well now you owe us $500,000 because we think you inflated your value, whether somebody got hurt or not, we can fine you that amount. That's wrong. That's not the way the law works. And that part really bothered me. It still does bother me. I've been watching it. And then you got the one in Georgia with Letitia. And I'll be honest with you, or not Letitia, Willis, Fannie Willis. That one, I'm sorry, you know, I know the law quite well. I'm not a lawyer, but I know the law well enough that you don't want to try to charge a lawyer with a crime because they are trained in doublespeak. Hey, there we go. We have Ivy's family factotum in with us tonight. How you doing? So, you know, you can't charge a lawyer with a crime and expect to be able to get a straight answer from the lawyer talking about that crime because they're taught how to do doublespeak. And I was always taught when I was younger that one of the things that was always known to me to be true was that there are certain people in this world, not just here in the United States, but everywhere, where if they can fabricate something against you, they will charge you with it, and then it's up to you to prove your innocence. And it seems like that's not that way anymore in our country. Now in our country, it's more of a, we're going to charge you with a crime, and you're not innocent until proven guilty. You got to prove your innocence, and that's not the way the law is supposed to work. But anyway, enough of that rant. I digress. As a lot of people say. For those that were watching, you got it right on top of my tongue. You just got done watching them not too long ago. Jason and Tara, when they were doing their last live, I came in with a comment. It said, like a good sheep, or I'm sorry, like a good Ford, I go where I'm towed, because he drives a Ford. And that's actually something I have on a cue card over here in front of me. I came up with like a good Democrat, like a good sheep, like a good Chevy, like a good Ford. And it's got a picture of a tow truck with a car. It says I go where I'm towed. I actually have a picture, a really cute picture of a tow truck with a car being towed. It's like a GIF type picture. And my employee Jim said, "Well, we should do something with that." And I said, "All right, I'll work on it. We'll figure it out." Yeah, Anson, I agree with you 100% on that. I agree with you 100% on that. I got an Article 35 because somebody I was around was smoking, and I went into our barracks with cigarette smoke on me. So yeah, they do that all the time. Well, I can't say I'm a big Chevy fan right now, to be honest with you, Anson. I got a 2014 Chevy Silverado LTZ, basically the same truck David has over to Command Mountain, except for his is a 250 and mine is the 100 or 1500 rather. His is 2500, mine's a 1500. And I just recently learned that it's throwing a code saying that the catalytic converter is garbage. And I took it to a bunch of garages. And all of these garages were saying, well, it needs this, it needs this, it needs this, it needs this. In one garage, I paid them all the time. I was constantly taking the truck back, engine lights on, engine lights on, engine lights on. And they'd fix things, and then they'd send me back home. And sometimes I wouldn't even get back home, and the engine light would be on again. I had a couple times where I had to call them and say, "Hey, this is Dave Moffat. I got a 9 o'clock appointment." And they're like, "Yeah, I do." I says, "Well, I ain't going to make it unless you send a tow truck out here to my house." Because I couldn't even drive it out of my driveway and get going down the road without it dying on me or whatever. And it was all kinds of stupid things. But now it's saying catalytic converter, catalytic converter, catalytic converter. And it's not the catalytic converter. It's actually, it has what they call the automatic fuel management system, where if you're not pulling the load and going uphill, like just driving across flat land, doing like 60 miles an hour or whatever, it'll actually drop 4 cylinders and change into a 4-cylinder motor so that you get better gas mileage, so they can keep up with the EPA standards or whatever. And the problem with that is the valves push down when the AFM system kicks in, and the lifters stop pushing back up again. So you got one valve that doesn't open, and then you got your exhaust valve that always does. And it was just pumping straight fuel into the exhaust, which says, okay, that's a catalytic converter failure. So now it needs to be totally tore down. It needs to have all 8 of those lifters replaced, even though 4 of them on each side still work. The exhaust ones work. The intake ones don't. So it's pouring straight fuel into the catalytic converter, which says, okay, now it's a catalytic converter problem, which it's not. And I'm trying to find a garage that's willing to do the work. And I'll be honest with you, I've had it to 2 so far. And each time I take it to them, I tell them exactly what needs to be done to the truck. And they tell me, no, it needs to be this. No, it needs to be that. They aren't willing to do the work. So I've got 2 more garages that my snowplow guy gave me yesterday. And I'm going to try those guys and say, if I tell you my truck needs something done, would you do it? I mean, it's almost like going to a dentist. This reminds me of my young days. Going to a dentist and saying, "Doc, this tooth hurts really bad. Can you pull it?" "No, but I can fix it." I don't want it fixed. I want it pulled. It's not worth fixing. It costs the same amount of money to pull it as it does to fix it, probably even cheaper. And it's the same way with us, Yeah, that's one thing I've been worried about too, Ivy, is that one of the things that I've been told with my truck is that it will have transmission issues, much like David had with his. Now, thankfully, I've got all engine issues right now, so the transmission hasn't been an issue. But I'm kind of hoping to get it fixed enough to trade it in. I just want to get rid of it. I owe $11,000 on the truck still. It was a $24,000 truck when I bought it. I think I owe still about $11,000 on it, so I want to trade it in. And I've got the brand new Hyundai Limited Elantra, and I love that car. I'll be honest with you, I really love that car. And I reached out to Hyundai, and they said, "Yeah, we'll take your truck as trade-in." And I was like, "All right, great. Do you have a model that can pull my camper, that can pull my construction trailer and stuff like that?" "Oh yeah, we got one." I was like, "All right." The price is about $4,000 over what I paid for the new car. Still keeps it reasonable in the price range and stuff. And I'm like, actually, it's about almost equal to what I'm paying on my truck, I believe, for the lease anyway. So I'm kind of leaning towards maybe going that way with it because I need a vehicle to pull the camper. You know, I'm not going to camp in my backyard. Yeah, actually, Bill, you know, I was just talking to a friend of mine, and he told me that anything 76 or newer is going to need special stuff done on it. And he said, but on the other hand, if you can buy like a used Toyota, used Toyota, it doesn't matter if it's got 175,000 miles on it because they call that the million-mile motor as long as it's been maintained. And there are a lot of used in my area right now, especially there are a lot of used Toyota Tundras where they reach that 150,000 mile mark, and people just put them up for sale. They're like, yeah, this thing's at the end of its life. Well, actually, it's not. It's not even close. So I'm kind of leaning that way. I'm not a big Toyota fan, but I would probably do it if I found a Tundra. You know, 175,000 miles. You're talking a $6,000, $12,000 truck. Well, that's a lot better than a 128,000 mile Chevy that I paid 24,000 for, and now it's already starting to show a lot of rust and it's not running right and everything else. So I'm just like, yeah, I'm kind of leaning away from doing that again. I did have a really nice Nissan. I'd show you a picture of it today, but I can't because it was on my old phone. I had a really nice Nissan Titan that I paid 20,000 for, but that thing was a nickel and diamond me all the time. We changed the exhaust system on it twice. It was constantly going in and having things done to it, constantly. When I first got it, the back sway bar was bad, and that had to be replaced. And you're ready for a Ram 2500 crew cab with a flatbed. That's what you want. Just got a few months at a minimum. Yeah. To be honest with you, the older 2500s are a good truck. The new ones, stay away from them. I've been warned against Ram, Dodge, Jeep, Chevy. Everybody's saying stay away from these. Stay away from these. Actually, now I hear that Nissan's coming up with a new truck again, and it's called the Nissan Frontier. Or no, it's not the Nissan Frontier. The Nissan Frontier, the new ones, the SVs and stuff, I was told to stay away from. It was Toyota Frontier. Toyota's supposed to be coming up with a new Frontier truck on their own too, and that's supposed to be a real reasonably priced truck. If you want to buy it brand new with no bells and whistles, it's like 20 grand. And I may look into that, but I want something I can work on. You know, I used to have an old Ford F-100 or Ford F-150. No, it was F-100. I had an old Ford F-100. If you wanted to work on that thing, you can climb right into the engine bay and everything is right there. There's no electronics. There's nothing special about it. You can get in. You can do anything you want to. And if it meant tear the motor down, you could actually do it while it was still in the truck. You didn't even have to pull it out. My Chevy, you can't do that. You got to take it out of the truck. So, yeah, a lot of these older trucks and stuff are, as long as they don't have a lot of rot. All right, later, Lori. As long as they don't have a lot of rot. That was one of the things. So I live in New York. We have salt on our roads, 5 months, 6 months out of the year. And if you don't keep your underbelly washed out and maintain it or whatever, you end up with a lot of rust, and then you get a rotten frame or whatever. I had a really, really nice 1978 Chevy Silverado 1500 that I went through and I put a ton of money into. We redid the whole body. We jacked it. We put custom wheels on it. We did all kinds of fancy stuff on it. And it was a nice truck. Custom exhaust, the whole 9 yards. It was a really nice truck. But when I went to put a trailer hitch on it, I couldn't put a trailer hitch on it. No, I have not had any luck yet. Anson, I actually found a property that I was very well interested in. And I reached out to I believe it was you that told me the real estate agency that you dealt with. I reached out to him and told him, look, I'm very interested in it. It was 15 acres of property on a dead end road, already had electric and telephone on the property for like $48,000. And I really wanted that. And I reached out to him and told him, look, I'm really interested in this property. And that was over 30 days ago, and I've yet to hear back from him. So I kind of give up on them. But I was told don't do it through a realtor anyway. You're better off just finding the local seller that has something that they want to get rid of and work it from there. So I'm kind of leaning that way too. Yeah, that's the issue I have. Now up here where I'm at, again, frames are number one thing to show a lot of rot. Number one. But if you look at the drivetrain and stuff like that too, that's always another part. Like your universal shaft. If that's got a lot of rust on it and the frame doesn't have any, it's been doctored. And these guys will go to no length to try to make an old truck look pretty. You can put lipstick on it and it's still a pig. All right, well, I'll reach back out to him. I still got the information for it, and see what I can come up with. I mean, that was a nice property. It wasn't totally level, but it was fairly level. It had some really good level building spots on it, and like I say, it already had the electric and it already had telephone on it. Not that I really care about the telephone, but if it's got telephone, you'll be getting fiber optics pretty soon, and that's a lot cheaper than playing around with the Tesla internet. I'm not into that satellite internet. I've talked to so many people that have bought into that. It's expensive. It's not that well. It's not that well to use. It's in and out. Of course, you got to worry about trees, and you got to worry about weather, and you got to worry about this, and you got to worry about that. And I understand all that, but with fiber optics, none of that is a factor. Like where I'm at right now, we've got Spectrum for our internet, and where I'm at right now in my office, I don't even use that internet because it's based on satellites. It's always in and out. You're constantly getting signed out and signing back in and all that stuff. So I'm using what's called the T-Mobile Business Internet, which is $50 a month. The other one is $283 a month, what my girlfriend just told me yesterday she paid. And I'm content with this one. I mean, my speeds are awesome. I watch YouTube videos pretty much all day long, or have something like music playing in the background and whatnot. Or watching Prime videos on TVs and stuff throughout the house that are also connected to this internet. And I've never had an issue with this one. And this one I can put in the camper, and I can take it camping with me. Almost everywhere we've gone camping so far where they said we wouldn't get service, we've gotten service. So I'm pretty content with that. All right, well, guys, we're rolling down. We only got about 4 minutes left of tonight. Okay, well, there's something else I want to talk about. I'm in a 1900 farmhouse, right? And over here on the other side is my stairway that brings me upstairs where my office is. I always hated the light that was in the ceiling, and I wanted to replace it. And my employee, he just happens to be an electrician. He's a handyman from all over the world. But he happens to be an electrician, and he tried to pull the old light down, cut the circle, and put the new light up in for the bigger light. And there wasn't enough wire on that light to be able to pull it down. And I decided, it's wired direct to the switches. Well, let's do it this way. Let's tear the walls out. I didn't like the plaster and lath. It wasn't done proper anyway. Tear all the walls out, and then while we got the wall out, we'll rewire. That was like a 3-day process. We had to pull wires through a wall, across the ceiling, and up another wall, and then from that up into the attic to go over, and then over to the light. And then I had an outlet in my bathroom, but because I put in a sliding barn door in the bathroom, that outlet was behind that, so you could never use it. Because if you did, and you close the door and use that outlet, and somebody opened the door up on you, it would shear the plug. And so I told him, I want to take that outlet out of the bathroom, turn it around, and put it out in the hallway as well. So yeah, it was like a 3-day process. I didn't buy any wire because we already bought a bunch of wire from across the road. They had a garage sale after her boyfriend was like incapacitated at the VA and long-term living. Basically, he had a really bad stroke. So we bought a lot of stuff from him. We bought a lot of wood because he had a wood shop. We bought some tools from him because he had a wood shop. And we bought all the electrical that he had stacked up on shelves. So we didn't have to buy any wire, which is good because that price is outrageous right now. But it took 3 days to rewire 2 light switches and change around a plug and then add one more switch and bring it in behind this wall here, behind the TV, is my big bathroom. That bathroom's huge. That bathroom's almost 15 feet long. To give you an idea, that's a big bathroom. Actually, I think it is 15 feet long and 9.5 feet wide. So in this corner right here, there's a corner shower, and then there's a vanity that runs down through. There's a bench right here between the corner shower and the vanity, and then you got the toilet, and then we got this really big 4-man sauna all the way at the back of it. I wanted a light in the center of that ceiling that could be run from a switch outside of that room, because the original bathroom light switch, you got to walk through a dark room to get to the wall to find the switch to turn the light on. And yeah, well, that was one thing that I laughed about, Anson. When I found the new tile that we're going to put down, I'm taking the old tile out. I retiled the floor. I spent the first 6 months owning this house working in that bathroom, and the tiles I put down on the floor, almost every one of them is cracked, and I'm not liking it at all. And now we found some real nice tile down to Lowe's, and it just happened to be on sale. And I was like, well, I'd like to get some of this tile, but I got to go back and measure the room because I want to make sure I'm getting the right amount. And the girl's like, well, most normal bathrooms only take 2. And I looked at her and I started laughing. I said, this is not a normal bathroom, honey. This thing is not a normal bathroom. It is huge. It could have been a bedroom and a bathroom, actually. When we bought the house, it was a big bathroom. And where my sauna sits was a really, really big closet, like a walk-in type closet. It was huge. It had drawers on the bottom, and I think it was 4 doors across the front. And it was probably better than 4 feet deep, with shelves across the top of it as well. And it went floor to ceiling. It was custom built for the house. And when I bought the sauna, I was like, well, you got to lose the closet. It's the only place in the house I can put it. So I tore the closet out, leveled the floors and all that off, and got it going. Yeah, I'm going to go along with you, Paul. My hour is up, and everybody have a good night. We'll see you again next weekend, same time, same place. Well, hopefully in the print shop, but same time. Catch you guys next time. Don't forget to hit the like and share and subscribe if you haven't already. Catch you later.